ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to another exciting episode of the I.M.A.G.E Show. You're tuned in to 89.3 KJMC, the heart and soul of the city, Des Moines, Iowa. And we've got a great guest on our show this evening. His name is Marlon Graham. And Marlon is a former incarcerated individual who was actually serving time in prison around the same time that I was. We both got out around the same time in 2018. And Marlon has been another example of someone who has changed his life, who has been spiritually edified, and prison was a big part of that. So Marlon, it's a pleasure to have you on the I.M.A.G.E Show with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Marlon, I want to talk a little bit about, as you know, the I.M.A.G.E Show, we talk about the injustices, we talk about discrimination, we talked about slave catching, a number of different things as it relates to prison reentry. And, you are a product of that environment. And so you also have a lot to bring to the table through your knowledge. And so I thought that it was important to invite you on the show. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience in prison and some of the things that go undetected, things that aren't talked about?
It's just it's not talked about that, they don't give you anything to learn on, to build on. They don't give you stability or anything to, even start to get ahead when you get out. It's all kind of a revolving door. It takes a strong spirit and a strong mind to even overcome the things of facing the world once getting out.
Yeah, now you talk about a strong mind, and there's a lot of people who have never experienced incarceration, who have no idea what it's like only through what they hear. And so that's why when you say, this, what was the word that you used? You said that, I don't know, what did you just say? I'm thinking of the word that you just said.
Just to have the...
Basically, what you were saying is, if you want to make change happen, you have to do it yourself. Yeah. You have to fend for yourself. There's no correction in the Department of Correction other than self-motivation.
Yes. There's definitely nothing. You have all the opportunity in the world just to sit there and do nothing with your life. Stay the same, become worse. In the end, if you don't build yourself, you come out a nuisance. You come out really a problem to your family, because now they have someone else they have to take care of.
That's right. And I think you even said you have to have a strong mind to persevere, or something like that.
Yeah, you must have a strong mind. There's no one in there that's giving you pep talks. There's none of that. I'm not sure if people think there is, but there's none of that. There's nothing to build you up. There's nothing to, even really help you discover that there might even be another world out there.
Yeah, I agree. And, the thing about prison, jail, incarceration is, first of all, don't get me wrong. When a person has done wrong and they've jeopardized their freedom, then they've put themselves in that predicament. However, there's a lot of people that have done a lot of things wrong and still have never experienced that. Whether they were fortunate enough not to, whether it was because of their color, whether it was whatever it was because of. Yeah. And so I think that it's important that people need to hear, things that they don't know. We have taxpayers who pay a lot of money and they don't know where their tax dollars are going, as it relates to incarceration. All the money that's being, put in to build new prisons. What is actually going on in the prisons is what people need to know about. And it's almost like a separate world because you have to have permission through a warden to be able to enter the prison through news coverage or whatever it is. And so that makes it even tougher to be exposed, for things to be exposed. So let's talk first of all about the counselor. You know, when you first get there, you're assigned a counselor. Now, this counselor is there to help you maneuver throughout your time there and to correct you. It's actually their responsibility to play that the counseling role to make sure that you're prepared and fit for society. How did that play with you and your experience?
In my experience, the counselor is not any of those things really. I mean, you meet them when you come in. They tell you if you got to take classes or not. And then, you know, they claim to have this open door policy, but you'll find that the door is closed more than open. They don't have too many answers, and they really don't have anything for you except for when the pro board's coming. You know, whether you're eligible or whether you're not. Have you jumped through the hoops and went through the classes or whatever that was needed of you? You know, it's all based on, you know, what they need of you. And, you know, that's how come we get the early kicks. You know, people get out early. You can, you know, all of a sudden they release 50, 60 people. Well, they've got what they needed, and to house those people any longer will take away from what they were trying to build in the beginning. You know, but
now, when you say from what they were trying to build in the beginning and they already got what they wanted, meaning financially they've got their yearly income, and so they've met their quota, and now they're trying to move on to the next.
Yeah, basically, you know, it's no different than the world. You know, you're trying to get as much as you can. It's like an all-you-can-eat restaurant. It says all you can eat, but after 4 plates, see if the waitress doesn't start kind of wandering around your table, wondering if you're done yet. You know.
Okay. Now, we've found out that many are called and few are chosen, and that plays a big role in prison because in order to be successful, you have to help yourself, would you say?
Yes.
And you have to really, really want that change. I know that for me, there was really no help other than what was created.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of create your own support.
Yeah. If you don't dig into things, ask questions, look up stuff, you'll never know the things that are available that could actually help you when you do come home. But, you know, even with those things, you know, when they're available and that stuff there, it plays a major part also because, you know, they really don't want you to refine yourself.
Okay. Now, Marlon, when you were released from prison, then we actually met each other at one of the after prison programs called Grit.
Yes.
And that was a great place for us to fellowship. It's a great place to learn more about the Bible and stay spiritually inclined. How has that helped you in your reentry?
I mean, really, besides giving me a place to go that there's a few people there that can relate, and being able to just, you know, dedicate at least one day of the week to touch a Bible or speak of something of that nature, you know, to keep me spiritually grounded.
Now, you're a very spiritually inclined individual. I mean, you speak very knowledgeable of the Bible, and that's one of the things that I thought was quite amazing about you. And God has done a lot in your life, changed a lot of things, and opened a lot of doors. And so, do you think, they always think that people find religion once they go to jail, or once they go to prison. Was that the case for you?
And I wouldn't say it once I went to jail, for one, you don't find religion, God already chose you. It was already spoken. It was just when the time was for you to open your eyes and see it, just like I had the time to spend to get into the Bible and really understand it, there was a person across the yard that had the time to gamble and keep doing what he do and, not choose to deal with what he needed to deal with.
And Marlon, if you don't mind me asking, what did you go to prison for? I don't think I ever asked you that question.
Yeah, possession of narcotics.
Okay, same thing I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I went for possession actually with the intent to deliver.
Yes, me too.
Okay. And was it crack, cocaine?
Cocaine. Well, it was cocaine, but they charged me as crack because crack gets a heavier charge than cocaine.
Oh, wow. So then you witnessed some injustice.
Yes.
Okay. And so we talk about now an inmate going to prison and the hoops and the barriers that you have to jump through, okay? How has this played a role in your life?
The hoops and the barriers, once I was able to get my mind right, only made me, stronger and wiser. But, it doesn't always come that easy. It doesn't always come that fast. I fell and bumped my head many times. It says we all fall short of the glory.
Yes.
Those hoops and boundaries, are just enough to break someone. If you're not spiritually connected all the way, it's surely, going to take you down and take you back through those avenues and through those same pains to where you find that, the people who say that they're there for you and they got your back really don't have your back. You come to find out that some of these things out here that are designed to help you are just the same as inside, and it's really just how much money you're worth. And once you're not worth money, they really have nothing else for you. And they kind of just, leave you out there to drown. So if you're not doing it for self and making that change, these hoops and these boundaries and these letdowns, you got one side that's beating you down and trying to put you back to a place that you just came from, that you're trying to escape. Then you have another side that says they want to keep you out here and they want to show you something. But, when that phone rings and it's that time, few come.
Yeah. Many are called, but few are chosen.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, but that's true. And so, we want to bring awareness to this. We want to make sure that people are being educated on this because, there's so much that comes with this that needs to be talked about. Getting out, first of all, is just another hoop in itself because you're starting all over. In most instances, you've burned a lot of bridges. Mm-hmm. And, you have to prove your trust back to people. And then you have to find a job. You have to get financially credible again. A lot of times you might have had credit that's bad that you have to build back up. You've oftentimes damaged a relationship with your kids that you're trying to build back up. And so I think also that there needs to be some type of support there for everybody. I mean, I was fortunate enough to find support. You've been fortunate enough to find some support. But does everybody find that? And then when you do find that support, is it genuine? Is it Is it real support? What is support?
Yeah, see, that's the whole thing is that, everyone finds support, but it's not necessarily the right support. People don't really have the right things in mind when trying to support you. If they've never been where you've been, it's hard to adapt and understand, the struggles that you might go through. And so then you find yourself being judged. You find people falling back from you because they just feel like, you're that same individual. And that makes it hard, that it makes it hard on you. It truthfully, it plays games on you. The Ghetto Boys is a old group, from our days, and they had that song, My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me.
Yeah.
And that's where it could come to, when you're trying to rebuild relationships with people, whether, you were a bad person or a good person. Either way, when you go to prison, things get stopped. Families get put on hold. Children lose things. Maybe you took your son to football or basketball. You were at every game. Now you're not. He thinks about that when he's dribbling the ball or when he's in the pack. So these things affect everything. And the last thing we need, especially when we're genuinely trying, is for someone to judge us or, make it seem as if we're not doing all that we might be able to do. It's difficult to deal with. And, and them are the things that, where I say you got to have a strong mind. You got to be able to dig within and inner. And, I knock no religion, I follow Jesus Christ myself. I'm a Christian, but you have to find some kind of higher power. It's people that talk to rocks. It's people that rub bellies. It's people that do all kind of things. And, if that's what you found for now to give you your peace of mind until you can get to wherever your foundation is, I wouldn't knock that. I would, I would support that, and I would just, keep trying to show you other ways and other things, and it's just not genuine, When I had spoke with you, I was thinking about some things and all this, and I fell into 1 Corinthians, and in some Bibles it says love, but it's really charity. And we've lost the charity. When we were kids, we had Blue Star homes.
Yes.
There's nowhere safe to go anymore. There's not a Blue Star home. There's nothing that's safe anymore. And it's sad because it's our Christians and things of that nature that don't realize they're acting just like the people that they're putting down, because they're not extending that charity. They're not extending that love. They don't love their enemy. The gossip, the judgmental, it is at an all-time high right now. And it's bringing our world down. Our children are shooting each other every day. And, it's based on all of those things, You steady have the system taking fathers away, not only just black men like us, white men are getting taken away, Chinese men, Asian, everyone's getting taken away. It's a different kind of struggle, I feel sometimes, especially for black men when we re-enter, just, because of the name that is put on us. I was watching something not too long ago, and they said they did tests all over the world where they put a white doll and a black doll up, and they asked who was good and who was bad. And in all the countries, they pick the black doll as bad.
You're saying doll, as in D-A-L-L?
Yeah, it's in a baby doll.
Okay.
Yeah. They, just innocent children.
Mm-hmm.
They just took, two little Barbie dolls and put them up and asked them who was good, who was bad, who would you want to be like?
Mm-hmm.
And, every nationality picked the white one. But, you got to see the picture that's being drawn of us.
Right.
How many people are out here claiming they want to help, but don't even believe in rehabilitation? That's a struggle that, is the hardest of them all. When you're dealing with someone who's claiming to believe in you, but never think you could change.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned in to 89.3 KJMC, the heart and soul of the city, and you're listening to the I.M.A.G.E show, the I.M.A.G.E reentry show. And so we want to thank you all for being locked and loaded and listening. For those of you joining us on YouTube, we want to welcome you and say thank you for the support. If you're riding in your car in Des Moines, Iowa, or you're in another state and you're listening by some type of streaming device, we want to invite you every single Tuesday night at 6 p.m. to tune into the I.M.A.G.E show right here on 89.3. We're going to go to a quick commercial. When we come back, we'll speak more with our guest, Marlon Graham. We'll be back after these messages. And we're back on the I.M.A.G.E show, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thank you for tuning in. We are listening to Brother Marlon Graham, and he was formerly incarcerated, and he's telling us a little bit about his time incarcerated, his time as he got out, the hoops and barriers that he had to jump through. And Marlon, this is very interesting. I'm sure that people who are listening right now are probably learning some things. And so, I also know that you had some health issues, and, as we continue to become friends and meet each other or continue to gather at Grit for meetings, you actually kind of light up the room, man, when you start talking about the Bible, scriptures, and you also had some health issues that we were all praying for, and then you overcame them, but you had a heart attack, and I know that was kind of scary. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I wasn't sick or anything, I was just helping my mom move, and I fell out and pretty much died on her porch. I actually flatlined 3 times. They said only 10% of people make it through these heart attacks, which is called a widowmaker. To this day, I have to wear a life vest right now, just in case anything happens, And they said my artery was clogged 100%, due to some of the way I ate and stress and things of that nature. And,
Well, first of all, I want to tell you that, if there's ever anything that I can do, you know that my phone is always on, and I'm always willing to help, not just talk, but help. And I realize the difference between someone who says they want to help and then someone who's actually willing to help and who is gonna help. And so that's why I called you. When I was at Grit, the meeting last Tuesday, I'd asked, where's Marlon? And I noticed that you weren't there. And then, everyone kind of got quiet. And then, someone had said that you had actually went back to jail. And as soon as I heard that, that was really the the only thing that I heard out of the whole conversation was he went back to jail, or no, he went to jail, had a parole violation, and had a dirty UA. Okay. But then after talking to you, I find out, things were completely different. See, there's two sides to every story, and you have to hear both sides, especially when you're talking about someone who's formerly incarcerated. It's easy to throw things out there and make it seem like, this person, oh, he did something, wrong, but tell me a little bit tell me your side of the story.
Yeah, so I got out, I got a job. I've been out, about 3 years or so, working, haven't had any problems. And I had actually been fighting for custody of my daughter. And, some unfortunate things went down. I feel my parole officer did some things to make it so that I didn't get my daughter. And then right after they took my daughter, my job fired me. And then they called my parole officer and tried to get me in trouble.
When you say they, meaning your job?
My job. One of my bosses went out of his way to call my parole officer and actually lied to her about why I lost my job. And the unfortunate part was that she believed him and not me, even though, he's saying I lost my job due to not coming to work, but you gave me unemployment. I actually filed a lawsuit against this company, and those are some things I can't really all talk about. But even with all those things being done, my parole officer still would not, let up on me. Those are some of the stressful things that led to my heart attack.
Wow.
While in the hospital for my major heart attack, my parole officer calls and says, well, lucky you're there because I was putting a warrant out for you. And I'm just like, who calls someone
lucky you're where?
In the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And, my mom called the supervisor, complained a little bit, but nevertheless, she still is my parole officer. Well, I've been going through these heart conditions and, trying to get things back together. And, she still is relentless. She has not let up. I've been out 3 years, never no problems, never nothing. Now we come up and all of a sudden she has a problem with me. She says I drop a dirty UA. Okay, well, I take like 20, 30 medicines in the morning and then 10 more at nighttime. You haven't checked on anything of what I take. You haven't looked at anything. You just gung-ho to take me down. And, we talk about some things, and then I actually caught COVID. And, if anyone knows, people with pre-existing health conditions, when they catch COVID, it really takes them down. So I was down. I couldn't make appointments, but I was emailing, and I let her know due to losing my job and things, I've lost my vehicle. I couldn't pay my bills. I was waiting for some things to turn around in my life for me. I could go sell drugs, but I chose not to. And she knew how to get a hold of my mom because that's who she talked to when I had my heart attack. Mm-hmm. Well, according to her, I haven't got a hold of her. So she set up an appointment for me to come down to the parole office to see her. When I get there, I get arrested for losing my job that I lost for discrimination and racial reasons. For this dirty UA, she claimed that, she never let me explain myself or anything. She also incarcerated me for having COVID and being in the hospital. Once I was incarcerated, I had another small heart attack. And then, in the hospital, I got none of my medicine. She kept telling me I need to deal with my issues. And it was just like, what issues are we talking about? Because we've never had issues. I know you document things. So if we go back through my history since the day I got out, I want you to show me my issues, you know. But instead, she lets me out and tries to send me to a facility for 6 months for drug treatment for one dirty UA. But the trick to the facility is I have to work 40 hours a week and climb 3 flights of stairs. So when I walk in, the guy says, what's all that? Can you even work? I said, nah, man, I just had a major heart attack. I got a life vest, I don't understand why your parole officer would send you here. And he sends me away, and now she's on the phone with my mom, telling my mom, first off, I'm 5 days late. She didn't even know when I was getting out. And then said she was putting another warrant out for me, and I had to figure something out, like get on the ankle bracelet or something, because I can't just be out here running wild. And, it's just like, where did you get that I was running wild? Where have you, came up with any of this? And, I speak on that just to show that when I speak of a strong mind, I just was incarcerated again in jail for like 2 weeks for those violations that I've been able to get out and turn some things around for myself on all those things. But it wasn't until I came to grips with myself and I realized that I wasn't incarcerated because of what she said I did. I was incarcerated because life was becoming too much. I was struggling. I was, getting beat down from every direction. People who said that they would help or have my back, it was just on the phone. It was never in person for real. It was never, and had I kept going in that angle, I probably would be back out here selling drugs or no telling, when you start to go down and you're heading towards the bottom, you get desperate. When you put me in a desperate situation, they say if you back anything into a corner, it'll come out fight, and I don't know. Thank God I never made it that far to find out what would have happened because, another drug charge or something, especially with my conditions at my age of 44, a 10-year sentence could be life.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, Marlon, you have been a role model figure for people here in society since you've been out. And I want to encourage you to continue to keep the faith, continue to fight for what you believe in, because you know that God will never let you down, even though man will.
Yes.
And, you've told me a lot of that even, earlier on. And so, I know that it's tough, these barriers that we talk about. I mean, you can get a violation for walking down the street the wrong way. If you say hi to an ex-convict, technically that's association with an ex-felon. I mean, you could think of any rule to violate someone on probation or parole if you really wanted to. I mean, let's face it.
Correct.
And, if you have a parole or probation officer that's not willing to work with you or to help you, or, if you got one that's just out to get you, that could really be detrimental to your health too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, my family and kids, they would call their supervisor, switch this up, and I've been trying to stay humble. I've been trying to figure out the inner message, trying not to let what she does bother me, because in some sense and in some form, she's being moved by my God. He works in mysterious ways, and You know, he took everything from Job. So, you know, I mean, these things that I'm going through compare nothing to that, you know, and I had to tell myself that. And that's what has made me through, you know. And you know, it's still a struggle and still a fight, but man, I'm still here, so
Yes.
you know.
Amen. And I'm glad that you're here, and you have a lot to offer to this community. And so, we need you here. We've talked about these barriers. We haven't really talked about the trauma that it brings, psychologically, mentally. There's a stress there
Oh
that
yeah.
comes with all of this
Oh yeah.
that's not talked about.
Yeah, yeah. It's not talked about, you know, and unfortunately a lot, you know, of our people drown themselves in alcohol and things of that nature. And that's how they, you know, get over it. Um, you know, drugs and you know, just running the streets, you know, out here, different women, different, you know, just there's so many other ways to avoid that
Yes.
than to deal with it.
And this is why I say that experience is one of the best teachers. Now, obviously, everybody who works for the DLC, parole and probation office, they haven't been to prison, and they probably wouldn't have a job if they had been. But that experience is the best teacher, I think, and that's what makes the I.M.A.G.E program so successful in ways of relating to ex-offenders.
Yeah, you know, you definitely have to have some kind of background. Um, you know, I tell the person, you know, if your mom died, I could never walk up to you and say, you know, I understand what you're going through, because I don't. I still have my mom. So, you know, how could you ever come up to me and say, you know, I feel so bad, and you know, I understand it's hard in there, and no, you don't, because you've never been in here.
Right.
You've never had no one put handcuffs on you so tight and, you know, just look at you
Yeah.
in pain and uncomfortable and get a thrill out of it. You've never
Yeah.
had no one tell you that you can't take a shower, you can't eat, you can't use the restroom right now. You know, and until you deal with some of those things, you would never understand the mental condition that a person's in, especially when they try to adapt back into society and then deal with, you know, unfortunately, attitudes. Your children, your wife, your girlfriend, your mom, you know, whoever depended on you, they actually kind of have an attitude with you. You know, yeah, I sold drugs. We all knew there was a chance that I could go to prison. But the things that I did with the money that I sold drugs with, they actually depended on.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't like it, once that got took away, it affected their lives. And so when you come home, your own people are like, are you going to let me down again? Are you that same person? Have you changed? You know, it's hard. It beats you down. Confidence gets taken. You know, it's hard to keep your confidence high when so many people don't believe in you, but they shake your hand and smile like they do. You know, to keep going to job interviews and things of that nature, and you know you fit, you know you'll give them your all, but they just can't give you a chance. And you know, you can't give me a chance because I made money to feed my people. But you do the same thing, you just do it in a different way. And you actually dog people out and hurt families and things of that nature, just like you claim I have,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's
Let me ask you something. Do you think that this is getting better? Do you think that there's been some progress? Because I'll tell you something on the flip side. Now, I've been, like I say, I've been incarcerated for 11 years, got out in 2018, and I noticed a big difference, some change in the Department of Corrections. And I'm talking about for the better. You know, I can say that. I can honestly say that. The parole and probation officers, now you might have got a bad draw.
yeah.
And that happens. And, you know, but the parole and probation officers, even the police officers in Des Moines, you know, I don't see people getting harassed so much. I don't see the technical violations, you know, people going to jail and prisons on just the little technicalities like they used to. I mean, it used to be just terrible. It still happens.
Yeah.
And I know what you went through is sad. I'm saying those are rare cases now when it used to be very common. Would you agree?
Yes, yeah. It's changed quite a bit. You know, Obama and them did some things. You know, I mean, we give them the credit, but really just some voices was heard and it got a couple things changed. You know, but it's still, you know, things in there. Just like, you know, I talked to senators and things of that nature when it was time for us to get the felons voting rights back.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got through to a couple senators and felt like I really changed their opinion and their mind on some things. But still, and yeah, with all the work that I did, with all the senators that I talked to, I still can't vote.
That's sad. It's sad.
Yeah,
I know.
You know, so
I know. And, you know, that's the sad thing about the felon voting rights. You know, I traveled all around the country, went to Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., to fight for our felon voting rights, to speak up on that. And sure enough, it gets passed, but it doesn't really get passed. There's the technicality was that if you're on parole or probation, you cannot vote.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, they didn't really do much other than what was in place before, because you could get out and write the governor and get your voting rights back, even if you had a felon, even in the past. And most of the time, I think that you would get those rights back. Well, now if you're on parole or probation, it doesn't matter who you are. If you live in the state of Iowa, you can't vote. And I think that that's wrong because all the other states
Yep.
do not have that restriction, you know. And if you look at half of Iowa and half of the felons in Iowa, most of them are probably on parole or probation.
Yep. You know, it's just another knock to say that, you know, we don't matter. You know, I just, you know, they make a guy like Trump president, and if you watched anything, if you really paid attention, Trump locked most of his friends and colleagues up. He put these people in jail because he thought they was going to jeopardize him being president. But you're telling me because I did this, my voice doesn't matter.
Well, I'll tell you what, your voice certainly matters on the I.M.A.G.E show, Marlon, and it's been a pleasure to have you on the show tonight. We're about out of time, and I really, I got a lot out of this conversation because I learned some things just sitting here in the studio listening and talking with you. And so I want to encourage you again. I'm going to continue to keep praying for you, and remember to reach out to me if there's anything that I can do within, reason to be able to help you.
Right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned in to 89.3, The Image Show. Those of you joining us on YouTube, we want to thank you again for your support. We are about out of time, and this has been a lovely episode with Marlon Graham. We've been learning about prison and reentry and barriers, and a little bit about Marlon's personal life as a formerly incarcerated individual who's had to deal with health issues. And so, Marlon, again, man, you're what makes the Image Show special. And so I want to again tell you thank you. For those of you who have been following the Image Show, we want you to continue to follow the Image Show as we're going to continue to bring you more flavor. And so about this time, as we always do, we want to say goodbye and have a beautiful, beautiful Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving to all y'all.